Imagine this. You spend years, maybe decades, building plans, controlling details, organizing every step of your life. You tell yourself that if you hold on tightly enough, if you fight hard enough, if you calculate every risk, nothing can go wrong. And yet, somehow, things still slip through your fingers. Doors close without warning. Relationships end despite your best efforts. Opportunities vanish just when you thought they were secure. What if the problem was never life itself, but the way your mind clings to control? What if the real weight you carry is not the uncertainty of the world, but the belief that you must bend it to your will? Think of a river. If you throw yourself into the water and try to swim against the current, every stroke exhausts you. You may feel powerful for a while, but eventually fatigue wins and frustration takes over. But if you let the current carry you, you realize something astonishing. The river knows how to flow. It moves with or without your effort. It has its own rhythm, its own direction. This is the essence of the journey we are about to begin. Today, you will discover why letting go is not weakness, why trusting the universe is not naivety, and why surrendering control can become the most powerful act of freedom. Stay with me, because once you understand how to loosen your grip, you may find that life itself is ready to give you exactly what you've been searching for, not through force, but through flow. From the moment we are children, we are taught that control is survival. We hear phrases like, "If you don't do it yourself, no one will do it for you," or "You must keep everything under control if you want things to turn out right." These lessons sink so deeply into our minds that they become unquestioned truths. We grow up believing that to let go, to trust, or even to wait is somehow weakness. So we grip harder, we plan more, we cling to every detail. And when life refuses to obey, we suffer. The human mind craves certainty. It feels safer when it thinks it knows what will happen next. Uncertainty, on the other hand, feels like danger. That is why we plan so obsessively, why we replay conversations in our heads, why we worry about tomorrow before it even arrives. We believe that if we can control enough variables, nothing bad will happen. But here is the truth. Life never fully follows our plans. Look around. Seasons change without asking our permission. Emotions rise and fall inside us without our command. Circumstances shift in ways we cannot predict. No matter how tightly we hold, there are always forces outside our reach, other people's choices, sudden events, even our own changing desires. To cling to the idea of total control is to live in constant battle with reality. Think again of the river. The current has its own direction. When we fight against it, we feel powerless, frustrated, even hopeless. But the exhaustion doesn't come from the river. It comes from our insistence that it should flow the way we want. This is the great illusion. We think control will protect us, but in truth, it is what wears us down. And beneath that illusion lies fear. Fear that if we stop controlling, everything will collapse. Fear that we will lose what we love. Fear that if we don't decide every outcome, we are not worthy. Yet that fear itself is the cage. It convinces us to live tense, rigid and restless rather than open, trusting and alive. So let me ask you, what if you didn't need to control everything? What if life, in its own mysterious way, was already working on your behalf? The courage is not in holding tighter, but in daring to release your grip. Letting go does not mean doing nothing. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings. Many people believe that if they stop clinging, they will drift into laziness, or worse, that life will pass them by. But letting go is not passivity. It is action without chains. It is living with presence, effort, and intention, yet without imprisoning yourself in the outcome. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He prepares the soil, waters the earth, protects the seedling from weeds. He does everything within his power, but he cannot demand that the seed sprout tomorrow. He cannot order the rain to come on his schedule. He cannot shape the exact form the plant will take. Nature does its work in its own time. The farmer acts fully, but he also trusts fully. This is the balance we are called to cultivate. Act with care, release with trust. Life too has its natural rhythm. Doors close, not always to punish us, but to redirect us. How many times have you clung to a job that drained your spirit, only to discover later that losing it opened a path to something more meaningful? How many relationships have you tried to hold together long after the joy was gone, only to look back years later and realize the ending was, in fact, a gift? The universe has a way of guiding us, even when the road feels like loss. But our ego resists this truth. The ego says, if it doesn't go my way, I have failed. The ego clings to the illusion that success means bending reality to its will. Yet time and again, reality proves that it is larger, wiser, and beyond our control. When we insist that life must follow our script, we suffer. But when we cooperate with life's flow, we discover that something greater than our plans is at work. This does not mean we should abandon discipline or stop caring about our goals. It means that our energy belongs in the present moment, doing what we can with clarity and sincerity while allowing the result to unfold naturally. Imagine creating a painting. You choose the colors, move the brush with intention, but at some point, the strokes take on a life of their own. The beauty comes not from rigid control, but from collaboration with the unexpected. Letting the universe lead is exactly this collaboration. It is saying, I will show up, I will give my best, but I will not chain myself to how it must end. In that space, something miraculous happens. The pressure softens, the anxiety lessens, and often what emerges is far better than anything we could have forced into being. The truth is simple, but not easy. Life is wiser than our limited perspective. When we stop fighting it, we are carried by it, and in that carrying, we find both peace and strength. So the question is not whether you will act. The question is, can you act with all your heart and still let go of the need to control the outcome? That is where freedom begins. In Buddhist teaching, impermanence is not an abstract idea. It is the very heartbeat of existence. Every breath you take is proof. Inhale, exhale, nothing holds, nothing lasts. The seasons turn, bodies age, emotions rise and fade like clouds across the sky. To resist this truth is to resist life itself. Yet most of us spend our lives pretending permanence exists. We cling to people as if they will never change. We cling to possessions as if they will never decay. We cling to identities as if they will always define us. And when change inevitably arrives, we feel betrayed. But the betrayal is not from life. It is from our refusal to accept its nature. Letting go, in this light, is not indifference. It is not about shutting down your heart or refusing to love. On the contrary, it is the act of loving more deeply, because you stop trying to own what can never be owned. When you let go, you can hold someone's hand, knowing that the moment is precious precisely because it will not last forever. You can enjoy a sunset, not by grasping at its fading colors, but by savoring them as they unfold. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, not love, not desire, but the mistaken belief that anything is ours to keep. The more tightly we grip, the more pain we feel when life shifts. as it always does. Picture holding a rope that is being pulled away. The tighter you cling, the deeper the rope burns your skin. But if you release, the pain lessens immediately. The rope was never yours, it was simply passing through your hands. To live with impermanence is to live with freedom. Freedom to love without fear of loss. Freedom to appreciate what you have without the shadow of anxiety. Freedom to be here, now, without being chained to yesterday or tomorrow. This is the gift of letting go. And yet, the ego whispers, if I let go, I will lose everything. But in reality, letting go does not make life empty, it makes it spacious. When you release what no longer serves you, you create room for new experiences, new relationships, new opportunities. Like a cup filled with old water, nothing fresh can be poured in until you empty it. Buddhism invites us to practice this every day. Notice when you are clinging to an outcome, a belief, a possession. Ask yourself, is this bringing me peace or is it binding me in fear? By gently loosening your grip, you allow life's natural rhythm to carry you. This is not easy work. It requires awareness, patience, and courage. But each small act of release teaches you something profound. Impermanence is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It reminds you that beauty is found in the fleeting, that love is made more sacred by its fragility, and that peace comes not from holding on, but from letting flow. So when you feel resistance rising inside you, remember this: to let go is not to abandon life, but to embrace it as it truly is, ever-changing, ever-flowing, always new. If impermanence is the truth of life, then why do we suffer so intensely when things change? The answer lies not in the world itself, but in the stories our mind tells about it. Reality is often neutral, but the mind paints it with colors of fear, doubt, and desire, until what we experience is no longer the event itself, but our interpretation of it. Think of something simple. You send a message, and hours pass without a reply. In reality, there is only one fact: your message has not yet been answered. That is all. But your mind rushes in to fill the silence. Maybe they're upset with me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't care anymore. Within minutes, what was once a neutral situation becomes a storm of insecurity and pain. The suffering did not come from the silence. It came from the story. Expectations are another subtle form of these stories. We create an image in our minds of how things should unfold: a perfect relationship, a flawless career path, a life free of obstacles. But the world rarely mirrors this picture. When reality does not match the expectation, we feel betrayed. Yet the pain was not caused by reality. It was caused by our insistence that reality conform to our imagined script. How often have you thought, "It shouldn't be this way"? That single phrase is the root of immense suffering, because beneath it lies the refusal to accept what is. We hold on to a fantasy version of events, and in doing so, we miss the actual life unfolding right in front of us. Comparisons deepen this wound. We look at others, at what they own, what they achieve, how they live, and immediately measure ourselves against them. The mind whispers, "They are ahead, and you are behind." But each life grows at its own pace, like seeds planted in different seasons. To compare your growth to another's is like criticizing a bud because it is not yet a tree. Every stage has its own beauty, yet comparison blinds us to it. These patterns, stories, expectations, comparisons are natural tendencies of the human mind. They were meant to protect us, to help us anticipate danger, to push us to improve. But when left unchecked, they become traps. They rob us of peace in the present moment. They convince us that happiness lies just beyond reach when someone replies, when life matches the plan, when we finally catch up to others. But the chase never ends, because the mind will always create a new story, a new expectation, a new comparison. The way out is not to silence the mind completely, but to see through its illusions, to pause and ask, is this fact or is this my interpretation? In that pause, space opens. You realize you are not the storm of thoughts, you are the sky that holds them. The thoughts may come and go, but you remain. When you recognize this truth, suffering loses its grip, because you understand that much of what you feel is not reality, but the echo of your mind's stories. And once you see the story, you are free to release it. Understanding how the mind creates suffering is only the beginning. The real transformation comes when we practice ways to quiet the storm and return to the present moment. This is where mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude become not just spiritual concepts, but practical tools for daily life. Mindfulness simply means being here, fully, not halfway present with your body in one place and your mind in another, but rooted in the experience unfolding right now. When you eat, you truly taste your food instead of scrolling through your phone. When you walk, you feel the ground beneath your feet instead of rehearsing tomorrow's worries. When you listen to someone, you hear them completely instead of preparing your response. These may sound simple, but they are acts of rebellion against the mind's habit of distraction. Meditation deepens this presence. It is not about forcing the mind to be blank or suppressing thoughts. It is about observing them without being pulled into their story. Imagine sitting quietly, following the rhythm of your breath. Thoughts appear, memories, plans, worries, but instead of chasing them, you let them float by like clouds across the sky. You return, again and again, to the breath. Each time you do, you remind yourself, I do not need to control everything. I can simply be here. Over time, meditation trains you to notice thoughts without being enslaved by them. Anger may rise, but you see it before it takes over. Fear may whisper, but you recognize it as a voice, not a command. You learn to sit in the space between stimulus and reaction, and in that space, freedom grows. Gratitude is the third practice, and it is as powerful as it is gentle. Each night, before sleep, pause and name 3 things you are thankful for. They don't have to be grand. A smile from a stranger, a ray of sunlight through the window, the taste of warm tea. This practice shifts the mind from scarcity to abundance. Instead of obsessing over what is missing, you begin to see what is already present. And here is the beauty. Mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude do not require a monastery or hours of seclusion. They can be woven into the fabric of daily life. You can breathe consciously while washing dishes. You can return to presence while standing in line. You can whisper thanks while watching the sky. The more often you practice, the more the mind loosens its grip. The stories it creates lose their urgency. Expectations soften, comparisons fade. Instead of living in the future or the past, you find yourself here where life is actually happening. It is in these small, consistent acts that letting go becomes more than an idea. It becomes a lived experience. And slowly, you discover a peace that is not dependent on circumstances, but on the simple ability to be awake in this moment. There is a truth that many of us resist until life forces it upon us. Not everything can be changed. Some storms cannot be stopped. Some endings cannot be avoided. Some pain cannot be erased. And yet, within this unchangeable reality, there is a path to peace. That path is called radical acceptance. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It does not mean giving up your power or pretending to like what is unbearable. It means acknowledging life as it is, without adding the extra layer of suffering that comes from fighting against it. Imagine being caught in the rain. You can open an umbrella and keep walking. That is wise action. But if you stand in the downpour shouting at the sky, furious that it dares to rain, you will still be wet. Only now you are also exhausted and angry. The rain is not optional. Your resistance is. So much of our pain comes not from events themselves, but from the sentence, "This should not be happening." We carry this phrase like a weapon, stabbing ourselves again and again, but the truth is that it is happening. Radical acceptance is laying down that weapon and saying, "This is here. I did not choose it, but I will not waste my life denying it." Think of loss. A loved one leaves, a dream crumbles, a chapter closes. We tell ourselves, "It's not fair, it should have been different." But fairness has never been guaranteed by life. What heals us is not rewriting reality, but facing it fully. When you allow yourself to feel sadness without judgment, when you let grief wash through without shame, something remarkable happens. The pain becomes bearable. It moves through you, instead of getting stuck inside you. Acceptance also applies to our inner world. How often do we judge ourselves for feeling anger, fear, or sorrow? We say, "I should be stronger, I should be happier." But emotions are not flaws, they are messages. To accept them does not mean letting them rule you. It means recognizing their presence with compassion, saying, "This too is part of being human." And when you do, the grip of those emotions loosens. Radical acceptance is not passive, it is clarity. It helps us see what is within our control and what is not. We can act where action is possible, but we no longer waste our strength fighting battles that cannot be won. We stop trying to stop the rain, and instead, we learn to walk through it with grace. This practice is not easy. It requires courage to face pain without turning away, humility to admit we are not in control, and faith that even in difficulty, life is still meaningful. But when acceptance becomes our response, something inside us softens. The endless war with reality quiets, and in that quiet, peace is born. To accept life as it is does not make us weaker, it makes us free. Because once you stop demanding that the world conform to your will, you can finally live in harmony with the way it truly is, ever-changing, unpredictable, yet always offering a chance to grow. Radical acceptance invites us to face life as it is. But there is another acceptance, just as vital and perhaps even harder, accepting ourselves. For many of us, the deepest struggle is not with the storms outside, but with the quiet voice inside that whispers, "You are not enough." From childhood, we are conditioned to equate worth with performance. Praise comes when we achieve, when we win, when we meet expectations. Approval is withheld when we stumble or fall short. Slowly, we learn a dangerous lesson, that our value depends on what we produce, on what others think of us, on how closely we match the standards set by the world. This belief traps us in endless striving. We chase promotions, possessions, recognition not because they truly fulfill us, but because we hope they will silence the fear of inadequacy. Yet no achievement is ever enough. The moment we reach one goal, another appears. The voice inside whispers again, more, better, perfect. And so the cycle continues, leaving us exhausted and empty. But worthiness is not earned, it is inherent. You are not valuable because of your success, your appearance, or your status. You are valuable because you exist. Your life has meaning, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. A tree does not need to bloom year-round to be worthy. A child does not need to accomplish anything to deserve love. In the same way, you do not need to prove your value to deserve peace, joy, and love. To live with this truth is to set boundaries that honor your soul. If a relationship drains you, you have the right to walk away, not because you are arrogant, but because you respect your worth. If a job steals your vitality, you have the right to seek another path, not because you are lazy, but because you deserve to be whole. When you know your value, you stop settling for less than what nurtures your spirit. It is also essential to distinguish between desire and worthiness. You may desire many things: wealth, recognition, adventure, and some will come, some will not. But your worth is not tied to whether those desires are fulfilled. Worth is deeper than desire. It is the unshakable foundation beneath both gain and loss. This shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "What must I do to prove myself?" you begin to ask, "What choices honor who I already am?" Instead of forcing, you allow. Instead of demanding from life, you trust that what belongs to you will arrive in its time. And here is the paradox. When you stop chasing worth outside yourself, life often brings you more than you expected, because you are no longer acting from fear, but from alignment. The universe responds to that authenticity with opportunities, relationships, and blessings that resonate with your true nature. So pause and remind yourself, you are worthy of rest, you are worthy of love, you are worthy of joy. Not someday, not after you prove yourself, but now, in this very breath. To recognize this worth is to finally come home to yourself. And from that home, every choice, every step, every moment becomes lighter, because you no longer need to earn what was always yours. Wisdom only transforms us when it is lived. It is not enough to hear about letting go, to admire impermanence, or to repeat the words, "I am worthy." These truths must sink into the ordinary rhythm of daily life, into the choices we make, the habits we cultivate, and the way we respond to each moment. This is what it means to live in the flow. Each day, life offers countless invitations to either cling or release. A conversation doesn't go as planned. Do you replay it endlessly in your mind, or do you breathe and let it pass? A plan changes suddenly. Do you tighten with frustration, or do you pause and trust that another path may be unfolding? These small crossroads appear constantly, and in them lies our practice. Living in the flow means becoming aware of these moments and choosing differently. When you notice yourself grasping at an outcome, a comparison, a desire, ask softly, "What happens if I let go?" The question itself creates space. Sometimes the answer is surprising. You realize that the thing you were clinging to was never as vital as you believed. You discover that releasing control opens the door to possibilities you could not see before. Environment also matters. It is difficult to flow if you are constantly surrounded by noise, tension, and pressure. Seek spaces that nourish calm. A walk in nature, a quiet corner with a book, a conversation with someone who speaks from the heart. Even a few minutes of silence each day can recalibrate your whole being. Surround yourself with reminders, rituals of gratitude, mindful pauses, gentle questions that pull you back to presence. Gratitude is one of the most powerful anchors for daily flow. Instead of measuring what is missing, let yourself notice what is already here. Sunlight through the window, the sound of laughter, the steady rhythm of your breath. Gratitude does not erase challenges, but it shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust. Living in the flow also means embracing the seasons of life. Just as no seed blooms out of season, no life unfolds all at once. Sometimes you are in spring planting, beginning. Sometimes in summer growing, thriving. Other times in autumn releasing, letting go. and there will be winters of stillness when nothing seems to move. To live in the flow is to trust each season, to know that every phase has its purpose, and that rushing only brings restlessness. This is not a philosophy for special occasions. It is a daily practice, a way of meeting each moment with less resistance and more openness. A way of remembering that you are not fighting against life, but moving with it. And when you live this way, something shifts. Problems stop crushing you. Instead, they become teachers. Challenges no longer feel like enemies, but opportunities to practice calm, courage, and trust. Day by day, step by step, you weave wisdom into the fabric of ordinary life. This is what it means to live in the flow, not a distant ideal, but a daily choice. You have walked with me through the illusions of control, the courage of letting go, the wisdom of impermanence, the traps of the mind, and the practices of mindfulness, gratitude, and acceptance. Now we arrive at the heart of it all, the freedom that comes when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. Pause for a moment and feel this truth. You do not carry everything alone. The universe, vast and mysterious, is also working for you. Every twist in the road, every closed door, every unexpected turn, these are not random punishments. They are part of a current much larger than you, guiding you where you need to be. Think again of the river. From the beginning of this journey, we have returned to this image. The current flows whether you resist it or not. You can exhaust yourself swimming upstream, insisting on your way, your timing, your script. Or you can surrender and feel the water carry you. When you choose the second path, you discover something astonishing. The river has always known the way. This is not blind faith. It is not passivity. It is a conscious decision to trust that life is more than your fears and plans. To trust that even when you cannot see the whole map, each step matters. To trust that you are worthy not because of what you control, but because of who you are. And here lies the climax of this wisdom. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to control every detail. You don't need to be perfect. What you need is presence, breath, gratitude, courage to open your hands when the mind tells you to cling. When you live this way, you become a light in a noisy world. Others may rush, demand, and strive endlessly, but you move with calm, like a quiet flame that cannot be blown out by the wind. You are no longer enslaved by fear or comparison, because you know life is not happening against you, it is happening with you. So let me leave you with this. Trust the flow. When uncertainty rises, breathe. When fear tightens your chest, remember impermanence. When the mind spins stories, return to presence. When the voice of inadequacy whispers, remind yourself you are already enough. You don't have to control everything to be at peace. You don't have to know the ending to walk with confidence. The current of the universe is carrying you, even now, even here, and if you allow it, it will take you exactly where you need to be. So step into your life, not with clenched fists, but with open hands. Release what weighs you down. Receive what is offered. Flow with what is real. And trust deeply that what belongs to your heart will never pass you by. This is the quiet wisdom of letting go. This is the freedom waiting within you. And this is the truth that, once lived, changes everything.